Shalom, family.
Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom, brother.
Get proud of me, Key. I'm riding around with my Bible in the car, making sure I take silence, read, couple, even if it's a chapter or a few verses. Get it in, brother.
Yeah, that's what's up, though. That's what's up, though.
The Holy Witness gave me the Bible, bro. That's still proud of me.
You said what?
The Holy Witness gave me the Bible, but I'm still rocking with it.
Well, you know how that go. Things happen. So, so let me just say this. The reason why I just invited y'all, even though I got a lot of other brothers and stuff too, but y'all like y'all are the direct circle. Um, and I think we need to start having open dialogue just to talk about real stuff. Um, where it's a free space. You know what I'm saying? For us to talk about whatever it is that we want to talk about. Often we have conversations and we go deep into things, and a lot of these things really affect a lot of people. And some people know that they're being affected, some people don't know that they're being affected. But either way, it's spiritual wars that's going on all the time. You know, and it's better to understand, get an understanding to be ignorant. Because it's like, it's not like because you're ignorant to a hole in the ground that you're going to walk by the hole and not fall in it. You know, and I think that it's just important for us to be around wise counsel. You know, a lot of the issues that we have in life is because of limited lack of knowledge, not having the right resources or connects, or our greatest problem, I believe, is really our perception, right? The way that we choose to look at things. And, you know, because the world teaches you to overlook a thousand good things and look at the one negative. That's why you got everything is negative. And if you think in negative, then you manifest the negativity. And when you don't know who you are, you're going to constantly do that. You know, you're going to constantly think and assume that you can do what you want to do with your life, and you will be on the treadmill for the rest of your life unless you make the necessary changes. And you know, God has been showing me a lot of things. If you notice, like I showed a video a while ago, and a couple of y'all looked at it, and it talked about it was the guy on there, and he said it's not what we do, it's what we don't do. We don't smoke, we don't drink, we don't party, we don't waste our time. We not dealing with all these different women. You know, and this is no judgment because I think that, you know, different people do different things. Everybody got their own issues. But what I'm saying is that when you want different levels of elevation in your life, it's going to have to be a lot of things that you change that you've been comfortable doing. And this is just real talk. Like when you want to reach certain levels, and what you have to do is, which I think one of the important things to do is study those people, right? Pay attention to them, learn, right? Because the only thing that took them from 0 to 100 was knowledge. A to Z was knowledge, right? No different than people in the streets. It wasn't easy to be successful in that life, even though you couldn't be successful. You had the illusion of success, but it's the reason why everybody didn't have it. That's why they was always hating on certain individuals, right? It was still certain things you had to learn. And that knowledge is some knowledge that you will always have that'll help you get from A to Z, even in that life. And what you realize is temporary, it's a waste of time. And then you take the same information, the same principles, and apply them in regular life. Because, you know, that's the illusion. That's the illusion world. They think they're winning, they think they're getting ahead, but that shortcut that they think they taking really end up being the longest route. That's why they go to jail, do all kind of stuff, lose everything that they gain, and then start right back at ground zero. So I'm just saying, like, I started with some scriptures and stuff today, but we could just have an open conversation of things that y'all might be dealing with, or things that, you know, y'all feel that y'all need to release, or just, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. God led me to start it. So, I mean, what's on y'all hearts?
I
Well,
basically, um, oh, My fault. You could go ahead, bro.
Oh no, go ahead, bro. I'm still over here getting myself together. I was just participating.
Oh, well, me personally, hold on. I'll be right back.
Well, I would just say, well, for me, right now, making sure I charge myself up spiritually, and that's going over information that I know that's going to keep my spirits up, keep me level-headed, and continue to grow. But right now, I just feel as though that the Lord is resetting me from all the foolish stuff that I allow myself to succumb to and things of that nature. So right now it's just a charge for me. You know, I listen in, hear the positive words and things of that nature because I haven't been around that for a while. You know, the people that I chose to be around, actually aided to me regressing and things of that nature. So, I'm just taking responsibility for the part that I played in getting myself, well, getting my spirits down, and do what I need to do to get those things back up.
Mm, okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, so basically with me it's like on this journey that I'm on, like I'm just learning like how to be more like marketable as far as like the things that I'm advertising as far as my services go to whatever community I'm in. Like I'm at the point where I'm ready to start like having ownership and learning how to manage money better. And I've been separating myself from so much worldly stuff. So like my budgeting is a lot different now because I no longer think like I need this material or I need that material. Like I need better credit, a full license, you know. I need to be able to get to and from so I can really promote because I'm trying to promote my business. I want to do a mobile detail and cleaning services. And then on the side of that, I want to implement also house cleaning because you got a lot of elderly people or just people in general who are very busy and they can't necessarily GI clean their crib the way they would like to. And then that's when my services come in. I would specialize in cleaning like office spaces, apartment buildings, houses, and car detailing. And then as I go along, I would try to like learn more about the mechanical side so I can implement that into my business as well. But I'm at the point where I'm done just taking these regular 9 to 5s, these little part-time jobs. Like you got for so many credentials, you know, and then like half the stuff we know we can't even use because they don't hire somebody else that qualifies the way you do, but without your criminal history. So like they try to say like by law you can't look down on somebody or be uh uh biased towards people, but they still do it to this very day. And I'm living proof because I live in a college area where everything is revolving around the main university out here. So the taxes is high, the rental expenses are high, the property taxes are high, like everything is high, and it's like you're trying to make a little ass city overpopulated and more metropolitan like a big city, and it's too small for all that. It's like the world as a whole right now. Like if you've been watching the news, they're saying that they don't even have enough electricity to fully power the whole earth. It's because of how much stuff is being accumulated and taken out of the earth and being transformed from something natural to something unnatural. Like people had to know that it was going to affect the land we live on by constantly taking natural resources out of it and making it into something poisonous. Because that's America's whole scheme. Everything that they do involves poison. You
Yeah,
know,
but you know what though? I think that the problem with us is that we focus more on what everybody else doing than we focus on what we supposed to be doing. And it doesn't matter what's happening in the world. It really doesn't because a majority of them things is far beyond our control. You know what I mean? You have no control over that. Like these people are in higher positions. They're doing what they're doing. They're doing what they've been doing. They've always been wicked. They've always done wicked things. They'll always do wicked things. That's
And
it.
getting
We're in
control.
a fallen state, but we're in a fallen state based upon disobedience. So if we ever thought that, this was going to just become our heaven, it ain't. You know what I mean? Them demons are here. So, I just say that, I think as men, that our problem is we focus so much on the world, we focus so much on the women, and we never look in the mirror. We never focus on what am I supposed to be doing, right? That's why a lot of people lose their whole life. It's an action, right? Success has an action. It's a combination. It has a formula, right? And it's not that people are smarter than other people. What it is this: if you want to be successful in something, you have to keep learning and keep taking steps towards that success, regardless how it happens, or you're gonna be stuck in the same place. Simple as that. If you keep taking little steps in the wrong directions, you're gonna end up eventually in the wrong places. But all of these things that's happening, like for me, case in point, I don't care what's on the news. I don't care about the world wars. I don't care about none of that because I understand the spiritual wars and I understand God has the ultimate say so, right? I don't care about how twisted the economy is because the people that's focusing on who they are and what they're supposed to be doing and that's really putting God first, God is providing. He's providing, right? That's why I have the freedom to travel the world. That's why I have all of these things that He has given unto me, which I don't glorify none of them because I don't worship idols and I don't really care about that stuff. I'm thankful that I have it, but it's not that it's priority over individuals. And that's something that we have to learn. That's why it's important to be in the presence of godly counsel because you'll be so busy looking on the right, looking on the left that you ain't looking in front of you. What's in front of you? What kind of legacy are you building, right? Even when people study the Bible, like Christ told us about us. That's what he told us about us. He told us who we were. And when Satan tempted him, he questioned his identity. He questioned his identity. He said, if you be the son of God, twice, the two times that he tempted him, if you be the son of God, if you be the son of God. Satan knew who he was. And he knew how to counter the spiritual attacks with scripture. But what I'm saying is that like I just I realize that it's always gonna be the haves and have nots, and the ones that have is gonna be willing to put their flesh to the side and willing to be disciplined. And the have nots is gonna continue to self-destruct. The hood taught us how to self-destruct. You got a destructive diet. You have a destructive mindset that's manifesting curses. You have destructive spending habits that's going to keep you poor. You have destructive use of drugs and foods and different things that you put in your body. All of that stuff is self-destruction. So then when consequences come, because all of them steps is little steps in the wrong direction, when consequences come and there's sickness, there's disease, there's possible death, then it's like, man, oh, it's the devil, it's the devil. No, it's the decisions. And as men, we have to let go of the way that things was. Like I got tired of running on a treadmill, right? It seems like you get 10 steps ahead just to go 20 steps backwards. You have to come to a point in your life where you like, listen, what I've been doing ain't been working. Right? People be 40, 50 years old, 60 years old doing the same damn thing that they did when they was 20 and 30. No, it says, when I became a man, I let go of all childish things, right? We have to change. We have to look in the mirror because we got legacy. What are you building if you're not building a legacy? What? If you're not building your kids up and teaching them and putting them in positions that they don't have to suffer and they don't have to struggle, what are you building? What? You can make all the money in the world and die tomorrow. If you're not learning how to fight these spiritual battles, my son is in the mental institution right now because he got a demon inside of him. This is real stuff. This is real stuff, though. Like, my daughter had a car full of demons when the car went off the road. She didn't even know, and God showed me that. This stuff is real. It's not a game. And a lot of times, like people, people play with God. Like me and Kiki was having a Bible study because I can call him and I could have had him come on here. But we was having a Bible study this morning and we was talking about Jonah and we was talking about Nebuchadnezzar. And I want to just touch on a little bit of what I researched just to give y'all just some insight and then, y'all can speak our piece and then we can end it. We don't have to make it a long call, but I just think that it's important as I put this hit training together as husbands in training, but it's not necessarily me husband to a wife, right? You are married to God, and when the two becomes one, you operate in the power of God. You operate as God because if you're married to God, you're in a union, a covenant, a commitment. And now you start operating in your full capacity. Now you understand your identity and you're moving mountains, right? With supernatural ability that God has just naturally given unto you. Many of us, I'm telling you this, and this is, I feel this in my spirit. You will never be able to succeed in doing things the way that the world does things because God didn't create you to do things that way. That's why jobs and all of that stuff, a lot of times, it just don't work. Why is that? Because God gave you a purpose. He gave you gifts and abilities. He said that your gifts shall make way for you. But we don't focus on our gifts. We just try to make a way doing things the way that the world do things. And it never works. If I sit here and worried about getting jobs, and not saying you don't work, I'm not saying you don't work. I'm saying you do what you have to do, but you focus more on God while you're going through whatever you're going through. And you have a plan to say, okay, well, I'm going to focus on what God has called me to do, not what the world says, because everything in this world will pass away. People work 30, 40 years at a job, and then they realize they got some young people that are going to do the work better than you because you're old now and they're gonna be able to pay them less than you because they don't have the experience that you have, the amount of time, even, and they fire you. And they be like, "Oh, I did this forever." Them people don't care about you. But God never created us to just be working for people. You're supposed to be building businesses, building opportunities. And I'm not saying everybody gonna do that, but for men, as a man being the head, you're the head of the household. We're the leaders in the community. That's who we are. We're supposed to be building, not just following these other people that's not qualified to lead us.
I
Go
think
ahead,
one.
go
I
ahead,
think
Prophet.
one of the first things we need to do as men is let go of pride because sometimes we have to go back to the beginning. Let's say we start out and it may not work out. Everything don't work out on the first try. You know what I mean? If you allow pride to sink in and you're not teachable, you have to remain with a teachable spirit. Where people can say, "Hey, listen, man, you can go talk to the wise counsel and say, hey, listen, that was a good idea, but this is where you went wrong. This is where you went wrong. Now start it over and don't go there." I think we don't want to tell people sometimes you men are privy a lot of times. I don't want anybody taking my ideas, and I get that. Sometimes you want to you mess up and you don't want to show that you screwed up, so you keep it to yourself. You know what I mean? A lot of times people really already know already. Some people that can help you is standing there just waiting for you to say, would you help me? And they just waiting. And if you allow pride to, to guide you, to lead you, you can lose out on some good help. You can lose out on some good nuggets and things that people can teach you. You know what I mean? Learning stuff like that. So that's all I wanted to share.
Yeah, I just want to say that for me, I agree with most of, well, mainly all the stuff Brother Keys was saying. My thing is, if you don't do the internal work, if you don't work on your mental, your internal growth overall, all that stuff on the outside is only going to go but so far. I only say that from, the being out here for the 5 years I've been out here and just, going through these different phases of dealing with different individuals and dealing with things outside of myself. From being incarcerated, I realized that, that alone time and getting in tune with yourself, no matter how good it looks on the outside, that's what's going to carry you through. So even when it comes down to finances, like I heard the brother was saying he's tired of working 9 to 5s and things of that nature. That's only a stepping stone. For me, I don't work plenty of jobs since I've been out here, and I had to adjust the internal, all the things that, I was struggling with that I didn't like about the job, that got me removed for the job. I had to come to that realization that this is only just a stepping stone. This is only just to help me get to the next phase. So whatever it is I need to control about myself to be at this job for the time being until, the next step, that's what it's going to be. So moving forward, all I do is focus on the different qualities that I may be able to utilize moving forward as I continue to build my business or whatever it is, I put my mind to. But at the end of the day, like Brother Keys said, it's all about how you perceive things. For me, it's all about the internal. Once I get my internal good, I don't care what everybody else got going on. I don't care about how much money people get, and none of that is me. None of that is mine. I'm not the type of person to sit around and depend and wait on people. So, in order for me to be at my best, I got to continue to study. I got to continue to look into whatever material it is, for the walk that I'm walking for the Lord. But at the end of the day, for me, it's always the mental state. It's always the internal. Once I get that, somewhat in control and aligned up with the Lord, then whatever else is going on the outside, that's just what's going on. It doesn't matter if you were a billionaire. In my mind and my heart, long as I'm doing my due diligence, I'm qualified to be in the same room with you. I'm not here to be leeching off of you or to be praising you. No, I know this is the circle I'm supposed to be in based off of the work and the effort that I put in to grow internally. And I yield.
Yeah, I totally feel that. I totally feel that. But I believe that when you want certain levels of success, it's one thing that many people never learn how to do, and it's how to be quiet, how to study, to listen, right? And learn. So when I see people, because I'm gonna tell you what I do. What I did was I put myself in certain environments. Certain environments most people not even gonna be able to get in certain rooms, certain circles, unless God sanctions it, right? But obedience to God is the cheat code to success. Many people don't understand that. It ain't the ways of the world, it ain't the degrees, it ain't none of that. It's obedience to God. If God told you to do that, then go do it. And if he didn't, it ain't gonna work. It may look like it's gonna work, but it ain't gonna work. But when you get in certain rooms and you're around certain people, I just actually had this conversation with my family. Me and my wife, and she was saying, oh, she had her perception of things. And one of my daughters was like, well, actually basically to be transparent, she was like, oh yeah, well, you need mental health. And I said, well, show me the action that I've done to prove that statement to be true, right? And there was no action. They couldn't show me nothing. Nobody could tell me anything because I'm like, I've changed spiritually, mentally, physically. I'm focused financially. I'm not cheating, lying, doing drugs. I'm not doing none of that stuff, right? And far as me, I've did that self-reflecting, and I've built that up. So, and no matter what anybody say, they can't take that away from you. That's why God is opening these doors up and these windows of opportunity. But what I said to my daughter was, she was like, yeah, well, I felt that, before, like, you, because you make a lot of money, like, you be like using that, and you like try to force people to do what you're doing. And I was like, I'm like, listen, you have it all twisted. Your way of looking at it is a woman empowerment way of looking at it, not a student way of looking at it, right? If I have cracked the code to a level of success that God allowed me to crack, He gave me the spirit of wisdom that gave me the opportunity to do things that I didn't see anybody else doing, right? And because there's nothing new under the sun. And if I've reached success on a certain level, and I choose to come to you to teach you, first of all, why would you ever perceive it like that? Because I don't have to waste time trying to help you win in life. I don't have to do that, right? Just like most people that reaches certain levels of success in whatever they're doing. You may have a successful realtor and they keep coming over there and they're trying to bring you over to real estate. Why would they want to come over to doing what you're doing if you're not even winning at doing what you're doing? Why? Why not bring you to the table where you can make enough money to then you can focus on your passion, right? I just believe people should focus on their purpose and passion is two different things. Passion is what you like to do, and most people had to operate like a robot mostly their whole life, and they just got a routine, and then they did the routine so much that it became normal. And then now they start identifying themselves with the routine or what they've always been doing, not understanding that it's so many other ways, easier ways that can elevate you, and it doesn't even mean that's right. You know, like case in point, we talked about even food and stuff before. Like the average routine of the person is get up. Some people pray, go brush your teeth. The families taught us this. Then we eat. How many families taught you about the stuff that's in the toothpaste? Very few. Very few families was educated. So you don't understand what fluoride does and all of them other chemicals that you putting into your mouth that's going into your bloodstream. You're not understanding the soap that you put on your body, even though you feel that you're clean, not knowing that it could be putting some chemicals in your blood that's going to later on kill you. You don't know that stuff because you didn't put yourself in these rooms to learn this stuff, right? When the people perish because of a lack of knowledge, a lot of people getting all these cancers and diseases and stuff like that. Why is that? Because they're not educating themselves. So it is a period of time in our life where we have to start educating ourselves. We have to start learning. We have to get in rooms and learn. Like, yo, if like the guys I was talking about, they're successful in what they're doing. So when I meet these guys, you know what I do? First of all, I go in the room, I'm talking to them, and I say, listen, I don't want no handouts. Teach me the game. Can you teach me? I'll pay you for the lessons, but teach me the game. Long as I know it's not going against God or anything that God has called me to do, I don't mind paying you to teach me because the truth is this: experience is not the greatest teacher. It's the person with the experience. The reason why I say that is this: if you have to experience it on your own, just say you wanted to get in real estate. You may bump your head a whole lot in investing in the wrong kind of properties, going the wrong. It's so many bumps that you may not recuperate from bumping your head all them times. But if you subject yourself to go meeting a successful realtor and you say, can you teach me the game? I'll pay you for the lessons. That successful realtor is going to prevent you from having to bump your head 1,000 times because they're going to say, listen, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. I lost millions of dollars doing that right there. So I'm telling you right now, that's not the truth. Don't do that. You can come over here. This is the way you do this. You can make money right here. They'll give you all of the game. And if you pay them, they not 9 out of 10 ain't gonna even want your money. But it's just to offer and say, listen, I'm not gonna waste your time and try to just take from you without giving you. I know your time is important and I want you to know that I appreciate it, but teach me the game. That will get you 1,000 steps ahead in life. I'm just telling you though. I mean, and because the people gonna teach you, they're gonna give you the game, and then you elevate. And if you look at what I did with my business partners, now I'm a partner with the firm, now I'm a partner with the lending agency, all of that stuff, because they taught me. I said, I studied, I reviewed it, and I perfected it. And I'm saying that one thing that we have to understand is that, our the way that we communicate matters. The way that we dress matters. If you want to reach certain levels of success. If you don't, stay the way that you are. It ain't no judgment from me, but I'm telling you things that I've learned because I was around people. I used to wear chains, all of these chains, and I went to, which is kind of crazy. We put chains on our neck, right? It's a the hidden message is you're a slave. You're in slavery. That's why the more money they get serving the devil, they put bigger chains on, right? So I'm wearing these chains and not conscious of it because it was routine from the hood, just like a lot of ignorant stuff that we learn. And I go to this event with my boy Jeff, and Jeff, he's wrongfully convicted, got a lot of money, came home, became a lawyer, and boom, he's helping people. And Jeff says to me, he says, you okay? He said, you can't come to the events with all that, man. He said, I know the levels of success that you seek, and you're very intelligent, and you communicate very well, but people gonna judge you. You know what I'm saying? And this was brother to brother. Now, I didn't feel insulted by what he said because I realized the level of success that he's on. I mean, he's multimillionaire. So, and he's doing it. So I said, wow, that was a blessing from a brother. So then the next event I went to, which he wasn't there, I was in PA and I had a black suit on. I had a nice black suit, black button up under it, nice tie, black shoes. I go to the event and I meet this guy. And the guy, I shakes his hand and he's talking, talking, talking. And then the guy says, I say, who are you? And he says, I'm a commissioner. And I said, well, what do you do? He said, like $1 billion of the money that come through here go through my hands. I said, oh, now he tried to talk to me for mad long, just so y'all know. So what I realized was that lesson that I got from Jeff was actually preparing me for what would happen when I went to the next event to allow me to make certain connections that God wanted me to make. And these people will also put me in rooms. So then this commissioner put me on to this group of leaders that was in the place in Harrisburg. And basically, that's how I got put onto the community city partners meetings. And just so happens I ended up getting an office in that building, right? So I'm just telling y'all, to make a long story short, it's very important with the people that you choose to plant yourself around. If you plant yourself in spiritually rich soil, you're gonna grow in a way that you're not gonna grow in other places. Same thing with physically rich soil. As men of God, we need to represent God in every area of our life, right? It ain't no just, the religious aspect I don't deal with. I'm a Christ follower, I'm not a Christian. You know what I mean? But I'm saying that, like, mentally, your mind need to be right. Spiritually, you need to be feeding your spirit every day, right? Because everybody's dealing with different demons. I don't care what people
Every day.
say. Everybody need deliverance. And some people, the demons are weaker because they feed their spirit more. Some people feed their flesh just as much. That's why that lust and all of that other stuff is consuming you. And you're not understanding because you haven't been around people that's in tune or people that's even qualified to really teach certain things. And you're not understanding how spirits are being transferred, right? I just started studying deliverance. A few of y'all on here know this, right? I showed y'all some of the videos. We went over some of the stuff. And I might even just show one before we end it. Yeah, we'll end it at 1 o'clock. Yeah, so I might show one before we end this. But what I'm gonna say is, like, it's crazy because we wasn't aware of the fact that STD is really sexually transmitted demons. We not aware of the fact how these spirits is bouncing from person to person. We not aware of the fact that the things that we do that will plague our kids, right? And for y'all, I know all of y'all wasn't on here, a few of y'all was on the prayer line, y'all heard it. But think about this. King David dealt with the spirit of disobedience because he went disaccording to what God had him do. He dealt with the spirit of lust, right? He ended up having sex with Bathsheba. He dealt with the spirit of murder because he got Bathsheba's husband, Uriah, killed after David got her pregnant. Them three spirits. God told him that that spirit wouldn't leave his house. Then right after that, David, now think about David's cells. Them curses was on David's cells. So then David goes and his kids, now he has kids. His son rapes his daughter. That was the spirit of lust that David put on the bloodline or on the cells. And then his other son kills that son. That was the spirit of murder. So was it the kids or was it the father? That's why the men are under attack because the men is the carriers of the seed. That sperm, that life that you have in you, that don't supposed to be going everywhere. That's why the enemy programmed us to self-destruct, to be led by lower desires. It's not supposed to go everywhere. It's not supposed to be wasted. I'm just telling you, it's power in it. And if they can curse you, then them seeds is cursed. And whatever you're dealing with, when you go disaccording, the seeds is gonna be dealing with that too. That's why my son could act the same way that I acted before I left, when me and his mom had him, and I wasn't even there to raise him because I was wrongfully in prison all that time. Why is that? Why is he acting the same way? So I'm saying that we need to understand. I'm about to go into deliverance ministry training, right? I got my partner, just so happens my partner. That's what they do. And that's who God wanted me to connect with. So it was all God just lining it all up. I'm about to start going in, and as I learn, then I'm gonna bring it to the table. All of y'all know, like my brothers, y'all already know how I am. Y'all know I got love for y'all. Y'all know how it's always been. It's always been solid. It's always been real. I always wanted y'all to win. So even when I called this today, I didn't invite nobody that's not in my direct circle. I didn't. So I'm just telling y'all, as we learn and we grow and God elevate us in different seasons, and you know, we ain't worried about the money and all of that stuff. That stuff is just the add on. But I'm saying that we need to make sure that we're spiritually right because this is real war. I'm just telling you. And when we don't understand what's going on, we don't understand what's going on in our households. We don't understand what's going on with our wives or, some people, their girlfriends or with the kids. We're not understanding this. And we're focusing on the wrong things. That's why it says the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But what he can't destroy, he distracts. Because distracting is destroying. Because everything has to happen in a divine time. That's why the enemy comes to steal your mind with these phones. Why you think it's hypnosis, it's blue lighting, it's all of these things to have you hypnotizing your phone all day? Because your life is just blowing away. Relationships is just falling apart. Everybody in their phone. Everybody walking in the streets, not even paying attention to cars, in their phone. You know what I'm saying? Like kids being raised by the phone. Like, and then we sit there and we like, wow, these seasons out of control. So I just say, be mindful, but I do want to show one of the videos before we end it. Is there anything that anyone else would like to say in reference to anything I said or anything that they just want to say, period?
I just want to say that I agree with everything that's being said, spoken, especially a part of us focusing on self. You know, I know you said it to me, Key. I've read it myself, and I wholeheartedly believe that. You know, seek first the kingdom of heaven, and everything else be handed to you. It also says, "Do you not know your body is a temple of the kingdom of heaven?" So if we're seeking kingdom of heaven, we're seeking within, we're seeking ourselves. And I wholeheartedly believe that when we align, when we doing what we were supposed to do, we attract to our universe the stuff that God wants, the fruit, and it flows around us. So, for example, Key, you come stand next to me, I'm lifted up. My frequency automatically is gonna go up closer to God, especially with me being on the same page or striving to be on the same page. And then the third person, and so on and so forth. So, and I also believe wholeheartedly that whatever is going on in the world, it can't happen if we doing what we supposed to do. So like when you vibrating so high, negativity can't even step in your circumference, your aura, in your arena. And they got scientific studies that show they had a group of like 300 people pray, and in a radius of like the whole state, the crime rate dropped 40%, 50%, and everything changed in that just the time period of them praying. And then when they stopped, everything went back to the way it was. It's scientifically proven. Look it up. It's real. So that's like on a godlike level. When we doing what we supposed to do and not falling for the distractions, the news, the media, the school systems, the jobs, the bills, the phones, the tabs, and we just doing what we supposed to do and really stand on it. And that's a fight because the world is so strong at the deception and deceit and trickery and manipulation and it's so strong with that we gotta fight. But together, that fight will be easier and more and sticking to it, we will reap what God want us to have. And I wholeheartedly believe that we got what it takes to make that happen. And I completely agree and I completely stand with the brothers. I'm here to do my part and I yield.
Yeah, I just want to basically agree with what the brother was saying. And I also add that from my studies and also from my experience, I can wholeheartedly say that that statement is true. Negativity cannot last in a positive environment. One of the main things that I've been dealing with throughout these years of being home is actually being around people who are truly serious and sincere, not just because this person over here is doing it or that person doing it. No, for your own personal group growth, that they're sincere about elevating, about growing, about being positive. This has been one of the main dilemmas that I've been dealing with. I'm not too caught up on a lot of worldly stuff. I did a lot of things when I was younger, as far as on the negative side and all the things that the world would praise. So after being locked up around Brother Keys and all the other brothers that was in that mind state for years, it's like when you come home and you're on that type of time and in that mind state and just can't come across nobody who's truly sincere. Yeah, it looks good at first until the problems, the issues, and things of that nature come around, and the information that you've been covering throughout the time is supposed to help you be prepared, to navigate through those situations a little better. But when you get to that point of realizing the person that you're around, that you've been pouring, and this is different people, over a collective of time, you come to realize that these people aren't that serious. It's like somewhat a hinder to the growth, because you got to actually fight through the fact that you've been entertaining a lot of people for a lot of time and it hasn't really been beneficial to your growth. That's just been one of my dilemmas over here. So I appreciate these conversations, and individuals who are in this mind state.
Absolutely. And if I could add to like this stuff that's going on, it's the part of it's the part of the distraction. Like if they tell us that it's supposed to rain, 90% chance, put out there on the news, and when we go Google the weather for tomorrow, everybody gonna believe it. And it may not even supposed to rain, but the belief is gonna make it rain. And this is scientifically proven too. The Indians used to do it. They prayed for rain when they needed when it was a drought, and it happened. So like if they putting chaos on the news, we might be the fuel that help that chaos either actually happen or thrive because we feed into it. Oh, they in war in Israel right now. But our belief is making it happen. And the Bible says, according to your belief, it is done unto you. So am I supposed to believe it's only true to a certain extent? Nah. I feel like it's really going on. So it's like I'm working on separating myself from things that take away my distraction and keep me aligned with my belief, and with the help of Brother Key and y'all brothers and just everything positive in my space, that's how I'm gonna do it. But I just wanted to add that in there too, because these things are just distractions, man. Like we gotta be so firm on it, like they're not extreme, nothing crazy, like, but they got Buddhist monks that set themselves on fire and just sit there in meditation. Like, because they
Hmm.
like, what I'm saying? It's like not that extreme. I ain't saying we
Hmm.
gonna do that, but like if something burning down next to you, you gotta stand so firm in your faith that man, the fire might get put out. And it's just, that's easier, way easier said than done. But together I feel like, two or more are gathered, God present, and we can do mightily things with that.
I agree with you, brother. I definitely agree with
Yeah.
you. I like that whole being focused to that degree. Yes.
And we can do that, first of all, because a lot of us that's on here done tapped into some of them supernatural or natural abilities that people just not conscious of. And that's what it is. It's understanding who you are. But it goes back to what I said initially when I said Satan tempted Christ and he questioned his identity. If you be the son of God. You know what I mean? If you know that you're made in God's image, then you're a God. You're not the God of the universe, but you're a God. You have godly abilities. Everybody know who we are except for us. That's why we're not operating. You will never operate in your full capacity if you don't understand who you are, right? This is fact. So like, and this was why I mentioned earlier when I said you'll never survive or succeed in following the ways of the world. Everyone has a world within their own mind. Just think about this. For those that's in the streets, right? In your mind, you feel that the street life was a reality, right? But it was only your reality and the people that live the same way that you lived because it's people that's working a 9 to 5 that's not in that world. So you're in a whole different world just based upon your mindset and on their mindset. And you're all vibrating on the same frequency, which is negative thought, the lowest level of vibrating. Then you got the people that work a 9 to 5. That's their world in their mind. They feel that, oh, well, I'm gonna work a job, live a paycheck away from poverty for the rest of my life, most of them. We're gonna go to work every day, and I sleep a little bit, spend a little time with my kids if I have that. I'm on social media, and my life is just repeating for 65 years, and then I retire or I'll still work. Right? In their world, that's the way. I got one of my child's mothers that's like, yo, get a job, and I'm like, no. Then you have people that's on another level that's business owners that's still there to run the businesses. They have a different world. They have a different level of freedom. Then you have the people that's the masterminds. Okay, you got employers, you got bosses, bosses of bosses, and then you got masterminds. You got the people that learn how to use their mind to create systems for other people to follow, and they benefit off those systems, right? Those are the people that use their minds to make money. Those are the people that make money. They're slaves and they don't slave for money. So what I'm saying is that I don't work for money. I create systems, right? I learn how to make money my slave, right? So when I'm bringing people to the water, not saying I know it all, not saying I only had a little bit of time to figure out even what I figured out. But what I'm saying is that submission to God will allow that spirit of wisdom to rest upon you. I do work. I probably work more than other people, but I work for God. I don't work for man. And God freely gives me. So I'm just saying for all of us, it's very important to understand that. Understand what world are you in inside of your head? Because most of them is imaginary worlds. Another thing is you said something and it made me think about the magician and the trick of the magician. Say we go to a magic show and we watch the magician make a tiger disappear. And we sit there like, wow, wow, that was amazing. But if we actually communicate with the magician, we'll realize that it was just an illusion. That he never made the tiger disappear, that the floor opened up and the tiger fell or something like that. So a lot of times people getting tricked by the magicians because they don't understand the knowledge behind the tricks and realize it never even was tricks. It was just a lack of knowledge. A lot, and so they get caught in the illusion. A lot of people are caught in the illusion because of their ignorance. They see things differently. They see things the wrong way. That's why you have to study. You have to learn. You have to really learn what it is to decrease in self and increase in God. Because even when you just mentioned, one of y'all just mentioned about Mitch, he who is within is greater than he who is in the world. The kingdom of heaven is within. Well, it's different heavens, based upon the Bible, right? It's different heavens. And in understanding that I truly believe that the spirit man, right, is of God and the flesh is of the world, or the cells and the coding of what came from the mother and the father. That's why you're born into sin, because the flesh is already coded with sin, right? Just like David Kids was already born in a body that came from David and his wives that was already coated with the sin and the curses that was put on David. So the spirit man ended up resting inside of that body, and now it's a war between the spirit and the flesh, right? And the soul is the mediator. So that's my perception of that. And I just believe like it's just really, really important to understand that when you learn how to go within and tap into the spirit man, that's the all knowing because it's connected to the creator, right? It clearly says that he knew us before we were alive in the flesh, right? John the Baptist knew who Christ was, and it could go on and on and on to go deeper. Like, okay, well, I mean, Christ said that he came here basically from the spiritual realm, right? And then went back to the spiritual realm and then came back here again. So we talking about traveling, right? So I mean, and then he told us even the least amongst you can do even greater things than what I did. Now some of y'all in tune with those natural or supernatural abilities. I'm certain, brother Kwame, you are. I don't know how many of the rest of y'all on here that is, but God had us studying these things that allowed us to tap into other things. And I just believe that when we come aligned, like you said, it's different. You see, when everybody's on one accord, because many people understand the laws of attraction, some people understand energy, vibration, and frequency, which is major. But the thing is this, though. What I've never seen none of them really talk about was the power of unity and having all the minds on one accord, one vision, one mission. You know what I'm saying? The two becoming one don't mean it's one person. It means it's two becoming one vision, one mission. And that's how I look at it. And I'm saying that when we focus on the laws of attraction and the power of manifestation, which is our superpower, and that happens like in Matthew 6 when you spend alone time, and you're in that quiet place, you and God, you're visioning it, you're thanking Him for it, you write it out. When you think it exists, when you write it out, it's in existence. You brought it from a thought into a piece of paper, so it's already in existence. And now you have to attach the works that resuscitate the faith to make it manifest, right? Most people are not trying to attach the works and they say they have faith. Your faith is a dead body laying on the ground without the works. The works is what resuscitate. That's why it says faith without works is dead. So vision a dead body laying on the ground, that's your faith. If you do not attach the works is what's going to go resuscitate the dead body, make the dead body get up and go work for you. And now things is happening. And other people can't understand it. And the only way that you'll obtain the peace that surpasses all understanding is if you build a relationship with God and you learn what it is to relinquish your free will unto God and you give everything to Him. Because right now, with me dealing with this, when my daughter had the stroke and my son in a mental institution with a demon in him, and both of my mothers dealing with cancer, one got lupus, the other one in radiation and chemotherapy, and I just gave my wife them papers. And if I focus on any of them things, I'm gonna go crazy, right? But if I just focus on God, it doesn't matter. We're in the world, but not of the world. So we shall not conform to the things of the world. So everything that's happening in this world is limited for everybody anyway. Even in the Bible, God sanctioned His chosen and said, go kill all of them. Kill the women, the kids, kill everything. But see, our limited worldly knowledge and lack of spiritual knowledge would say that that was negative, not understanding that that is our natural level of existence on the other side. And it doesn't matter how you transition to the other side when God says it's time to go. So whether a person was killed, hit by a car, whatever happened, It was sanctioned to go home. That's why it's called going home. That's why we can't lean upon our understanding. Oh, there's all this wicked stuff, and your perception is based upon programming of the principalities and powers. They taught you how to look at stuff. And the people who created the program, which is the programmer, is controlling the individuals that's under the program because it's sponsoring their decisions. It's influencing their decisions. You teach a kid four things: how to run into the wall, how to run across the expressway, how to bang his head on the wall, how to bang his head on the floor. The kid's decisions is gonna be made based upon them four things that you taught that kid. Now, was it the kid or was it you? It was the person who taught the kid. When you look at all of these people and you think about how they're self-destructing from a self-destructing diet, mindset, lifestyle, habits, all of them things we was taught, they taught us how to self-destruct. Look at your life and think about how many ways you self-destructing, even if you're just eating crazy. Do you take your car and just put anything in your car? No, you don't do that. Why is that? Because you know if you put the wrong gas in it, guess what? You're gonna have engine problems, you're gonna have transmission problems, you're gonna have all kind of stuff. Why do people not know about their bodies? Why do they not care about that? Why do they not educate themselves? Right? And then if somebody come around and they start talking about it, oh, this person, a lot of people made jokes and then they end up catching cancers later and they it was like God put their foot in their mouth and said, "Don't joke on him because I sent one of my servants around to give you information that could save your life." But you were so knuckleheaded that you were so comfortable in your routine of self destruction that you didn't make the changes you needed to make. And I sent them to help you so that you didn't have to end up in the position that you're in. So I ain't gonna, we ain't not gonna run this too long, but I'm saying, man, you know, yeah, we about to definitely start that hit training thing. I already got all of the trainers and stuff in place. Maybe we can figure out a time, and we don't have to do it right now. That we want to come on and just do. We could have 30-minute calls, an hour call, whatever y'all want to do. I know that these calls will be very beneficial, especially on the Sabbath day, because the Sabbath day is a day of rest. It's blessings literally attached to this day, and when I honor this day, I see how God moves in my life. I'm just telling you, when I honor it, I see that he honors his promises. And that's something that we have to understand. You can't keep doing what you want to do. But I'm not going to show the video unless if y'all still want to see it, y'all can see it. But my suggestion for y'all though is really read Jonah. Really read Jonah. And I'm gonna go over it probably in a Bible study today. 'Cause we got Bible study at 2 o'clock. But really read Jonah if y'all didn't know, even if y'all know the story, y'all may have known it from somebody else, speaking about it and stuff like that. But that's my suggestion. Because what Jonah is going to show you is that you don't really have free will. You can't do what you want to do with your life. Sometimes God will hurt you to make you do what he has called you to do. And it's bigger than you. You got to start considering your kids, your family, your legacy, your calling. And you got to let go of things that done had you stagnated and imprisoned in the past. Be free to walk into your future. Let go of things that you're not supposed to be carrying anyway. How do you catch a blessing if your hands is filled with things what God told you to let go of? Your hands is filled. You're not gonna be able to catch nothing. You gotta let go of them things, man. You gotta attach the work that resuscitate the faith and allow your faith to move mountains for you. You have to study and learn who you are. What did God tell you? What did Christ tell you? So, and I yield on that. That's all I wanted to say before we close it out. I mean, if y'all want to watch the video, it's like a 10, 15-minute video, but it's just, the girls was possessed or whatever. And it was strong. It was really, really strong. And I think that it just gives a different perception. Okay. Everybody good? So is there anything that anyone would like to say?
Yeah, I'll say something. Good afternoon, Kings. Good to be on this call. This call is very beneficial to us as men. We all have to learn how to be unified as men. We know women's they already got they click, whereas they got they womanhood, and us men's we have this persona about ourselves a lot of time that we don't want another man to get close to us, but we have to learn how to slowly start trusting. Just like we trust God, we got to start trusting different men in our circles, and so we can be vulnerable at times and share those things that need to be shared, to another man, in a confidential way, whatever it may be, it can be you dealing with your relationship, it can be you dealing with a health problem, whatever the case may be. We got to be transparent and be able to, have that accountability partner that we can just get naked with and talk to them on a man-to-man level. And so I think that's what these groups can help develop their relationship, as well as the Kingdom Man's group, uh, can help develop that. And yes, we have to come in alignment. Alignment is very important. When you come to alignment, basically everything else will fall in place, just like the fruit trees and whatever like that, You have to excuse me in the background. I'm out in Giants parking lot. But it's you come in alignment, it automatically gonna blossom, you know. If you plant a tree, and that tree in alignment with the sun hitting it and the the rain and whatever the case may be, it's gonna automatically grow and produce whatever the fruit what's supposed to be on that tree, apples, oranges, whatever like that. So once we come in alignment, we automatically gonna grow in the image and likeness that Christ want us to grow in. And yes, I've been doing some studying on elevation myself and in alignment, and I'm just taking one thing at a time. I'm studying faith now. I'm looking at everywhere in the Bible where it's what faith is, and I'm kind of like breaking it down, meditating on it. Then the next one is the kingdom. I'm gonna do a study on the kingdom of God, and so it just ways that the Bible said line on line, precept on precept, but a little bit here, a little bit there. That's how you grow into that spiritual man. And with that, I yield. But I just glad to be a part of this group, Kings, and you guys have a blessed day today.
You have a blessed one too, brother.
You have a blessed one too, brother. Is there anything
You
else
have a
that anyone
blessed
else would
one.
like to share?
I just want to say thank you, bro, for enlightening me, man. Thank you for humbling yourself enough to make yourself selfless in the name of God and teaching us with the truth. Because the more you become a man, the more you realize it's so much less about your feelings and more about pure intelligence within itself. We have our ways that we think are right, and then we got the way that is right, which is God's way. And basically, what you just said in a nutshell, now I understand why I'm starting to get dissatisfied and why I'm starting to disassociate. Because so many things of this world doesn't matter. It's not nothing but a distraction. Advertisement and all that stuff is nothing but a distraction. The main focal point is getting through the hardest parts of life and learning the most you can learn in your most uncomfortable moments and applying it into your life so you can continue to be used as a vessel for God. Because we're God's tools. God uses us to get his word across and to show forth his evidence of his existence within itself. So I'm completely humbled and I'm grateful because when you have proper dialogue with God and you ask him for specific things, he will give them to you. And that's proof. Because I asked for clarity and I asked for balance. And you just gave it to me. If you want balance in this world, you have to be more of God and less of yourself and less of the world. And that's it in a nutshell. So I appreciate you for breaking that down to me in a way that I could better understand. And I pray for all of us and all living beings in existence. And I pray that God heals us all and helps us all accomplish our goals and achieve our aspirations and make sure everything we're doing is solely in the purpose of getting closer to Him. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Hallelujah. And we're gonna have bigger groups. I just literally just invited all of y'all like 2 minutes before we opened up the prayer line, just so y'all know. So this wasn't a planned group. This was just something that just hit my heart, and I just said, let me invite these brothers right here while me and Prophet was just talking about God. So I'm glad that, that it did give you some clarity, because that's what we need. God is a God of clarity. The enemy deals with chaos and confusion. Once we understand, we just have to start setting them short-term goals and the long-term goals. You know what I mean? You set your short-term goals for your day when you wake up. Like, and we're gonna work on building these routines up with this circle that we have, but this is just, I'm gonna say this to y'all right now. You wake up, you start writing your goals out for the things that you want to happen. Remember, you're made in God's image. You have some say so in some of the things. God may shift it another way, but clearly in Habakkuk, it tells us to write the vision out and make it plain upon tables that he may run it that readeth it. So God is telling us, okay, well, I want you to write the visions out. Because if your vision is aligned, and that's why you pray that the vision is aligned, like what Brother Jerry just said, if you plant that seed, you have to be mindful of the soil that you planted in, and it need to be spiritually rich soil. And if it's spiritually rich soil, then it's going to be in a place where the sun is going to shine. So now it's aligned with the sun, and the sun is able to help it grow, right? And you got to make sure that you water it. You water it by continuing to learn, continuing to feed it spiritually rich food, right? It's different kind of food that feeds the soil, that feeds the seed. You know what I'm saying? And then later on, as it grows, because it's in alignment, then now you see the fruits. You shall judge a tree by its fruits. You see the benefits that's coming from the seeds that you planted. And it's the same thing with words. When you plant in those words in the soil of people's minds, you got to understand that them words will grow. Them word thoughts are things. Words are powerful. And it's things that we all just have to understand, because a lot of times we don't know. I've been around people that, that told other people, man, I hope you basically leave this level of existence. And then it happened. You know what I'm saying? And it's like sometimes we don't be mindful of the things that we say. And because they were responsible for cursing a person, it says life and death is in the power of the tongue, meaning your tongue can give life to people or your tongue can kill people. And guess what? If you're using your tongue to kill people, then you have the consequences that come from killing people. You understand? You have the spirit of death that you're inviting in. You have many different things. So I think that it's really a season for us to be mindful. Be mindful of what you listen to. Be mindful of what you say. Be mindful of who you plant yourself around. The environment. Environment influence attitude. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna grow a specific way if you're in an environment where it's not good soil. You take the seeds and throw them on the concrete, they ain't gonna grow. You know what I'm saying? You put them in the right soil, they're gonna grow. Many of us have been thrown on the concrete, and that's what we still at where we was at a long time ago. It's time for us to get up and plant ourselves in different soil. And that's what I'm saying. Get out of your comfort zone. If you want to elevate in life, uh, elevation is not comfortable, right? It's not. You're never going to be comfortable going to a level that you have never been on before. Never. So when people say, you may even hear women, I hear my wife say this a lot of women, oh, I want my peace, I want my peace. Well, when you're moving in purpose, you don't have peace, because your purpose is not going to be something that's easy. It's going to be something that's challenging, right? And a lot of people don't understand that. If you want to reach different levels, you're going to have to go through the exams. That's what they programmed us for in school. You got tests, which may come monthly. And then in the end of the year, you got a combination of all the tests called an exam. It's the same thing in our lives. Right before the elevation, you got the exams, and they're going to be your hardest tests. And if you can pass them, then you show God that you qualified for a greater anointing. You qualified for more finances. You're qualified, for different things that you've been praying for, but you still have to pass those tests. And every season is a season to trust God, to lean on God, to let God guide you, because the worldly information is not going to guide us in the correct places, right? None of us know. We're all just seeking. We're seeking God. And I believe that He's going to move mightily inside of all of our lives. And it's going to be a different season for all of us if we believe it. Your life is as good as you believe it is, and your life is as bad as you believe it is. But in reality, it's just your belief. We're all doing well. We're all breathing, we're talking, we can walk, we can see, we can feel, we can touch, we can taste. We still have our minds. Our hearts ain't corrupt. We're not in prison. We're not, I think we're very blessed. We have loved ones. Nobody's by themselves. So yeah, that's just my food for thought. And we're gonna end the line out unless there's anything that anyone wanna say before I end it.
I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate what was spoken and what was put out. And again, thank you to the brothers too.
Okay, anyone else? Well, may the Lord bless you. May He protect you. May He guide you in this season. May He bless all of those that are attached to you. May He reveal you unto you as we all look into the mirror to realize the things that we need to change in ourselves. May we no longer compromise with our position once He show us what our position is. May we learn what it is to decrease in self and increase in the Lord. May His light and love flow through each and every vessel, casting out every form of darkness, disease, sickness, any negative energy or entities that may be in us, on us, or around us. May He restore us, heal our hearts, heal our minds, emotional wounds. May we be freed from the chains of the past as we walk into a new future, and He opened many doors and windows of opportunity for us. May we keep ourselves planted in spiritually rich soil and keep open minds and open hearts to receive. May we be those obedient vessels that will take the light and the power that God has given unto us and do the right thing to help other people become free from the darkness of ignorance that had them entrapped for most of their lives. May we always love our brothers and sisters and uplift them, teach them, and also learn from them. May we never embrace the spirit of pride or allow ego to intervene, to understand that it is God's way or no way, that free will is an illusion. And may we continue to find strength even when we get in those Elijah moments that we feel weak, and just bowing down and just saying, God, I'm just tired. But may we find strength in Christ, who does strengthen us in this season. And may we do things that are pleasing unto Him as we learn what it is to live obedient lives, as we thank Him in advance, giving all praise, all honor, all glory. In the name of His Son, Yeshua HaMashiach, to you, Yahweh, in Jesus the Christ, holy name, I pray, we pray. Hallelujah.
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 All right, I love y'all, man. All y'all, my brothers, man. Y'all
I
take
love
care.
you
Have a
too.
blessed day. All right,
Thank you,
peace.
bro.
Yep, you ready?
Trying to think what's over